Hello everyone and welcome to Design and Quilt Monthly for September 2023. My name is Mark Garretts and I'm an RNK National Educator. And in this month's episode we are going to be exploring how to create an entire quilt. So if you want to follow along, go ahead and open up Design and Quilt. When you do that, you're going to get a screen that shows you the splash screen. Go ahead and start a new project and you'll end up with this screen here. Now if you want to follow along, just a few pointers. If I am going to ask you to click, I will just say click. So that's a normal left click of the mouse. If I want you to right click, I'll specifically say right click. So that is a right click of the mouse. We're going to be doing both of those in this video. So like I said at the beginning, in this video we're going to be going over how to create a quilt using a quilt layout. Now in the past couple videos we explored how to actually go ahead and create a quilt layout, and so you might want to go back and look at those because we're not going to go into the details of that. What we're going to be concentrating in this particular video is how to fill that quilt layout with blocks, and then some things you can do to manipulate those blocks once you are in the quilt layout mode. So to get into a quilt layout, all of your quilt layout icons are right over here. These are the blue ones, and none of the rest of them are highlighted because we haven't started a quilt layout yet. To start a new quilt layout, we click this new quilt layout button here. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And when you do that, you end up with this screen that shows the default quilt layout. And as we went over in the past videos, you can manipulate what that looks like over here. We're going to go ahead and leave it for now in the default mode. So this is a 4x4 quilt layout with 1-inch sashing and a border around it. And we're going to start filling this in with blocks. Now once you've created this screen, the Select Quilt Block tool is automatically highlighted, so this lets you click and select the various elements of this quilt layout. So I'm going to go ahead and click right here in the upper left hand corner, and you can see now it's highlighted in purple, and this means whatever I do now in terms of bringing in a block will fill in this block. So I have a couple different ways I can do that. The easiest way is to come over here to my quilt block library, click it, and that'll open up my quilt block library. You can scroll to any of the available quilt block folders. You can even create your own block. And so I'm in the traditional block library right now, and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to choose this traditional 021 block here. And that would bring this in, and now I can repeat that around, and I'll show you how we do that. And I can also flip it and manipulate it, and we're going to get into that in just a bit. Now this particular block has colors that I think are okay, but I'm not totally fond of them. So I'm going to show you a different way to do that, and I'm going to select that block again, and I am going to delete the quilt block, and that I do with this delete quilt block button right here. So I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to show you the other way to bring a quilt block in, which is to start with a quilt block design. So to do that, I am going to come over here and go back to my opening screen, and when I do that, you can see that these icons are lit up. If I'm in the quilt block mode, I can't get to my quilt block library right now because I don't have anything selected. But if I did, it would put the quilt block in here, and I can edit it, but it's easier to edit it over here. I'll show you. So I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to load that quilt block. Instead of into a quilt layout, I'm going to load it all by itself because I want to recolor it. Okay, so I've decided, being a guy, that I'm going to do shades of blue here. So I'm going to select this particular piece in the block by clicking on it, and then I'm going to come down here to my default color palette, and I'm going to find a blue that I want to use, And I'm going to use these blues over here because they kind of are in the same kind of chroma sequence here. So I'm going to select that darker blue right there. Now I'm going to click this one and I'm going to select the next lighter blue, and then here I'm going to select the lightest blue. So now I've got my quilt block in shades of blue. I like this one, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. I'm going to select the quilt block by coming over here to my sequence view and clicking the quilt block over here, and then when I do that, my copy and paste icons are lit up. So I'm going to copy this quilt block, and now I'm going to go back to my quilt design window by clicking the tab, and now if I come and select this quilt block here, right click, I can click paste. All right, so that pastes it. Now I could also select paste to all blocks, which puts it everywhere. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to select paste to selected row, so that puts them this way. I'm going to once again undo that. I'm going to right click again. Now I can do selected column, which puts them here. I'm going to undo that. And the last one is paste to every other. So I can click that, and now I've got it in every other. All right, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo all of that, okay? And I am going to come here and paste it again. I don't have to copy it again, it's already on my clipboard. And I'm going to paste it here and paste it here. So I'm right clicking on these blocks and selecting paste from the menu that comes up. Now I want to rotate this block so that this triangle matches this triangle in reverse. Okay, and I want this to be on the outside here. So selecting this block, by clicking on it, I can see that I need to flip this horizontally. So I need to flip it horizontally. So I'm going to come in here to my right click menu, and here is a flip horizontal. So I can do that, and that gets me what I want here. Now I need to obviously flip this one vertically to get this blue to line up here. So I'm going to right click on this one and flip vertical, but I need this piece over here, so that's a flip horizontal. All right, and I'm going to repeat that here. Now I could keep doing those flip, flip, flips, but what I can do instead is I can copy this block and paste it over here. Okay, and now all I need to do is one flip. So flip horizontal, and now I've got my 4 blocks here set up the way I want, and I can now select all 4. So the way I do that is I click the first one, hold down the control key, and I apologize you can't see me holding down the control key, and I'm going to click, click, and click, and now I let off control, and I have selected all 4 blocks. I'm going to right click and select copy. I could also have done it up here with my copy icon. And now I'm going to come to the upper corner of this next group of 4 and click paste. All right, and I'm going to repeat that here, and I'm going to repeat that here. Okay, so in actually just a very few clicks, I've filled out this whole quilt block. Now, if you had a much bigger layout where you had a lot more of these repeated, then you could select all of these blocks, and let's say instead of a 4x4 you had an 8x8, you could select this whole section, paste it over here, paste it down here, paste it down here. So again, to fill in a whole quilt block, if you're using the same thing, then it is pretty easy to fill the whole quilt block. Now, there's nothing that says you have to use the same quilt block in every single square. In fact, you could have a different quilt block in every single square if you wanted to. Most quilts are not built that way, but you certainly could if you wanted to. But I'm kind of happy with the way this looks, except for I'm not real thrilled with the sashing in here. I think let's just get rid of it. Now, I could just color it, by picking a color in the design or picking a whole new color. So I could select the sashing just like I would select a quilt block, and I could pick a different color, like I could pick red, for example, and I could fill all that with red. I could pick a color that's in the quilt block. I don't particularly want to do that. In fact, I don't like the sashing in here at all. I want my points to line up just like points. So I'm going to come over here to my sashing control in my properties box and change the vertical to 0 and the horizontal to 0 by typing over it and clicking apply. And now I don't have any sashing at all. So the only thing left to color in is my border, and I probably don't want this dark blue in my border. I'm going to pick one of the lighter blues. So let's go ahead and pick this blue here. Now, to make sure I get the same color in that border, instead of clicking from this palette where I might select the wrong color, here I've got the colors that I actually used in my design. Right? So this is the design palette and this is the available palette. So I can see that I've got blue number 2 here and blue number 3. Let's go ahead and use this lighter blue for that border, and I could do the same thing here. I could do the same thing here. Okay, and I could do the same thing here. So now I've got that blue border that matches the rest of the quilt going all the way around. Now, I'm not limited to doing the same color. I could say, for example, use a different color here and here. So let's do that. This one's already selected, so I'm going to hold down Control and click that one down at the bottom. And I'm going to apply the next lighter blue or darker blue into this one. So I'm going to come here to color number 3, click it, and there we have our completed quilt block. Okay, so our quilt, whole quilt. All right, so that's how easy it is to manipulate this. Now, if I wanted to change a color in this completed quilt block, let's say I wanted to change these center triangles here, right? I could come here and do a piece select, okay, just like I was doing if I created a block. And I can select an individual piece in this quilt without having to select and modify the whole block. So I could hold down Control and continue to select that. Okay, so let's say I went ahead and selected all 4 of these. I could make them red, for example, and click off it. And now I've got a different color in here, and I could do that. And when I export this quilt, which is what we'll be going over in our next lesson, I would have this particular block and this block and this block be different than these blocks. All right, and if I don't like that, I can just simply undo it. So that completes our lesson for this month. I want to thank you for watching and invite you to come back next month for another episode of Design and Quilt. Next month, we're going to be going over how to take this quilt block and export it into an actual quilt pattern and layout that you can cut.